Hey, it's Ken Lewis with Mixing Night. Today I'm going to break down the top 5 mistakes that young mixers make and how to fix them. I'm old now, but I used to be a young mix engineer, struggling with all of the same things that you're probably struggling with. And all of these techniques really helped me get past all of the problems that you're probably dealing with too. First mistake, safe mixing. Mixing is not about being able to hear every little piece. Mixing is about bringing the emotion out of the song. Mixing is about doing what is best for that song. Frequencies don't matter, ratios, plugins, forget all about that stuff. Listen to the song, let the song guide you. So a lot of times you have this rule book in your head that you think you need to follow. This needs to be panned in the middle, and this needs to be in the low end, and this needs to be in the left. Throw all of that out the window and use your gut. Start listening to your gut. That is going to guide you better than anything else. Here's a perfect example. Me and my partner Brent were the production team Catalyst. We produced a song for Ciara, and we had this massive reverb on the low frequency kick. This thing hit, and that reverb in the low frequency carried for a mile. It was epic. But if I would have just told you, hey, I put this massive reverb on my kick drum, you would probably think, well, that's got to be a mistake. Why is he doing that? So throw that rule book out, forget about it, listen to your gut and let your gut guide you, and I think you'll be fine. Mistake number 2, de-essing. One thing that really sets the pros apart is de-essing. I hear a lot of mixes where the S's are just ripping your head off, or that they're so over de-essed that you start sounding a little bit lispy. And that's what a de-esser does to you if you overdo it. So you need to listen and be very careful to back off and find that sweet spot between not being lispy and not being so bright and sibilant that those S's are ripping your head off. It's going to make your mixes sound much more polished. The other pro tip I'll give you is a lot of times I will de-ess the side vocals in my mix harder than the lead vocal. So the lead vocal I'll try and get perfect, but the side vocals a lot of time I'll de-ess a little bit more so that those S's aren't poking at my ears from the sides. Mistake number 3, momentary elements. Okay, I'm talking about things like sound effects, transitions, sweep ups, sweep downs, cymbal crashes, drum fills. You get the idea. Things that come in and out. You might have 20 or 30 or 40 tracks full of 1 or 2 or 3 sounds on each track. And it's your job as a mixer to go through every single one of those tracks one by one and make sure everything is well balanced in your mix. And then you got to do it again at the end too. All of those little elements that pop up only one time, you got to make sure every single one of those is locked into place. Transitions are especially important to pay attention to. Drum fills, cymbal crashes, those kind of things. Set a loop from 2 bars before to 2 bars after your transition. Make sure that the section before and after go together well, and that all of those intermittent elements that only happen during that one time come together perfectly so that the whole thing sounds like one movement from one section to the next. Mistake number 4, the mix bus. How do you know if it's too loud, overcompressed, not loud enough, too bright, too subby? The questions on the mix bus can really be maddening. And it took me a long time to solve it. Hopefully some of these tips can help you solve the mix bus as well. I would say reference mixes are a great thing to use. You can load up a plugin like AB Metric and listen to the way your 808s sound in your finished mix against Jay-Z, or the hi-hats in your mix against the future mix, or the way your lead vocal sits compared to the way this lead vocal sits. You can use reference mixes to paint your entire picture or to give you momentary elements and tell you how to place certain things within your mix that work in other mixes. One more important thing are RMS targets. So my typical RMS target falls between about -10 and -7 on the RMS scale. Peaks are certainly always at zeros, but the RMS, that's where that falls. And -7 can get a little bit loud, but if you have an 808 heavy song or a heavy bass song, -7 is completely normal. Songs that don't have so much bass usually come in about -8 or -9. -10s are a little bit conservative, but totally normal. So find your RMS targets and lock those in, and you'll know that your mix will stand up next to other mixes on the radio, Spotify, streaming, whatever. Mistake number 5, overmixing. Everybody's done it. Everybody wants to use all of their plugins. I get it. I used to be the same way. Trust me, in many, many cases, less is more. For instance, the first time I ever saw Andy Wallace mix, and honestly, every time I've probably seen Andy Wallace mix, you walk in and you look at his finished SSL and you would ask yourself, like, has he started yet? And that's for real. It's mostly about striking great balances, touching up what needs to be fixed, and not fixing what doesn't need to be fixed. On the plugin front, trust me, you don't need plugins on every channel. You certainly don't need an EQ and a compressor on every channel. You don't need to low cut every channel. All of these myths or things that you've heard, they're not myths. They can work, but you can also overdo it. So make sure you're not doing things that you just heard about and thought worked. Listen to what you're doing, figure out if the results help or hurt, and move forward from there. All right, these are the top 5 mistakes that young mixers make and how to get past them. You know, it's a confidence thing, it's an experience thing, it's not going to happen overnight. Stay the course, you'll get there. My YouTube channel is the most badass on the block, and you want to be a member. Subscribe right now. Do it. What? Okay, I saw you. I saw that. You got it. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that subscription. Peace.